Hello there and welcome to ZeroXP. We are a show that celebrates the fandom of video games with a focus on one game series in particular, Fable. We strive to bring you several episodes a month discussing a variety of game-related topics spanning recent game news and events to reflection and speculation concerning past, present, and future video game generations. I'm John and I'm sitting here with my co-host, who is the unstoppable force behind our show, Patrick.
Hello.
You can find our show on YouTube by searching for ZeroXP Webcast. We put up a variety of different episodes there covering Fable and other game topics.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Using these features lets YouTube know that fellow Fable fans like yourself love our content. Be sure to turn on your notifications to get our latest episodes.
You can also get each episode in podcast form across all major podcast platforms. If we're not on the platform of your choice, please let us know. If you'd like to contact us directly, you can by emailing us at zeroxppodcast@gmail.com or by following us on Twitter at ZeroXPWebcast. Our DMs are open. On today's show, we're going to be discussing a rage quit that just happens to be on our channel, some officially unofficial Lionhead projects, and we're going to wrap up our coverage of Fable the Lost Chapters,
After
more or less.
Nearly a year.
And so, our story begins. Patrick, I guess I'll let you intro it. It's a meme that's been going around that you made, or I guess adapted would be more accurate.
Yeah.
That has kind of caused a little bit of conversation to take place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess they're not as popular as I thought they were, but on Twitter, they tend to go around the Snoop Dogg rage quit meme, where he rage quit a game of Madden. And I guess he left his camera on for like 7 hours, but...
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think maybe there was one for Halo that started it all, but I was like, that's funny, and I was like, sometimes I forget, I'm not that good at making this stuff, but I'm like, I forget I can do things, because I'll think of things, I'll be like, a month later, I'll be like, I could have made that. So I decided I was going to try and make one of these Snoop Dogg rage quit videos. And I pulled out a video that was 4 or 5 years old because I remember it and it made me laugh, and it matched up. I couldn't believe it with his anger.
Yeah, and the video was from Fable 2, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah, I believe the description is something like Snoop Dogg rage quits one of the easiest RPGs ever made.
Yeah, right. Well, and even beyond that, I mean, you can look it up because, I mean, we'll have it posted on our Twitter, and we've already put it up on YouTube.
You're probably watching a clip right now without volume, at least.
Right, and I think it was on our Facebook page as well, or one of the Fable fan pages.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me, and the only reason that I thought it would make good show content is... it kind of surprised me of how many people actually thought that Snoop was playing Fable 2 in 2021.
Yeah.
And getting so angry about it. Yeah. Because I knew about this. Now, I'll be honest, I thought that the clip was, I thought he was playing Call of Duty or something. I didn't realize that it originated with Madden, which just shows you that it's been floating around with different games for quite a while. But, just to get that out there, no, Snoop Dogg did not play Fable and get mad at, one of the easier puzzles in the game. Patrick was just really bad.
Yeah, I was really bad. And I think also, sometimes when you play a game, I'm not saying I'm good at games because I'm not, but when you play through something 7 or 8 times, you just try to run through it.
Yeah.
And I think I was just trying to go too fast, and then especially the second time my character gets hit, all the sound effects, it made me laugh, so I recorded it, and I've kept it all this time, luckily. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to fool anyone with that.
Yeah, it looked, the way that it lined up perfectly enough that it seemed feasible that's what was happening.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing, is there are people that thought it was real, or I think maybe a few people thought I was trying to fool them, and I really wasn't. I thought it was a more popular meme than it was.
Yeah.
And I've probably watched it 100 times myself of those views. It cracks me up every time.
It's funny. If you get a chance, you should go check it out. I mean, especially just because it's Fable related and it's Snoop Dogg, so it's just fun to be had there. Then next, Patrick's kind of been digging through some different archives, somewhat purposefully and somewhat accidentally. And we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about he had received an email with a new character that was never released for Fable Legends.
Yeah, we had seen artwork for them before they had displayed, but never any gameplay for a character called Sykes, who is a Wolverine character.
Yep.
And I know it's a very niche thing, I'd say, even for Fable fans, but man, was I excited. Like, I was so excited when I saw it, I almost threw up.
And, I mean, admittedly so, Patrick is a bigger Fable Legends fan than I am. But getting to see the footage was really cool. One of the things that I will never begrudge about that game is how pretty the game was and how underrated I think it was, really, when you look back at it.
We'll get more into it, but also how varied the combat was for that game.
But this character in general, I think, probably would have gone over really big with the community, just because it was a good a mix of, it looked like it had some, and range. You'll see in the video, some range, and then the character would actually transform into a Wolverine.
And his leap ability looked pretty cool, too. Yeah. That looked better than I expected.
And he became more of a melee character, which I've always kind of been on the fence with the lore of the Wolverines, where they kind of got to where they could change at will. I always liked it better when it was just you became a monster, you were a monster.
Yeah.
But this character, I mean, like, it did look, the style of the game for what it was, and the abilities of the character did look like it would have been a lot of fun to play.
And one thing to note was when I first got it, I actually did, which seems silly now, but I did have a little bit of a moral dilemma about putting it out, because I guess, first of all, I don't really know where it originated from.
Right.
But also, our channel's small, but I don't want to be a leaker.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's something that, like, has no interest to me, like the guy that put out the Xbox Series S. Like, I would never want to be someone that does those kinds of things.
Right, yeah. I mean, we're just two nerds that have day jobs that like Fable.
I guess for me,
this isn't our career.
This was a bit different when I thought about it, because, like, I'm not spoiling anything. It's a dead game. We would either see it or we wouldn't see it.
I guess I also look at it in the context of, it's not that you were digging for anything. It's not that like the assets were stolen.
Yeah.
Because that would also be something that I would have probably tried to put the nix on myself, is, because, I mean, people they dig into old archives. I know famously last year we had the Nintendo leak that a bunch of code was stolen, and then the CD Projekt Red, hack that they were essentially ransomed for very recently. Like, things like that, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that is wrong, because you're taking active information from companies that are, still using that code or protecting it, or it's part of their assets. Whereas this was something that was sent, as far as we know, there wasn't anything. I mean, obviously it's been up. Microsoft hasn't come to us and been like, take that down, which literally all they'd have to do is send us an email.
Old beta videos still up there, so they don't really seem to care.
I don't think they're worried about it.
Yeah, I would never, if someone sent us, like, anything that Playground's working on, like, it would just die there. If anything, if someone sent me that, all it would be was an email to the company being like, hey, this is what I got.
Yep, yeah, because we don't want to do anything to damage anybody's, or potentially harm anybody's project.
Well, and, if it's something cool, like a trailer or something they want to show off, like, that's theirs to do. That's their project. That's their work.
Unless it's officially from the company, and then by all means,
That's not leaking, though.
Right. But no, it's just kind of a cool little clip. And speaking of cool clips and games, Patrick, now, and I didn't even ask you about this. I just, I know you released it. And I had downloaded it myself and had it on, I mean, it was probably on a laptop 3 laptops ago. But you put up a gameplay video or a let's play, if you will, for Inkquest, which was part of one of Lionhead's developer weekend projects, where they, you know, it's kind of the things that gave birth to Fable Heroes and a lot of other ideas. I'm sorry?
Anniversary.
Yeah, Anniversary. So do you want to walk through that? Was that your actual gameplay?
Yeah, that was my actual gameplay. Yeah, to my knowledge on YouTube, I was surprisingly not able to find any like let's play of the demo at all. That's the only one that I know of, which was surprising because it was readily available. This wasn't something that was given to me. It's just on the old site before it shut down. You could download it.
Yeah.
And I think I still had it on the hard drive. Luckily, I rebooted one of my old laptops that I haven't used in like a year and a half. And I mean, I was happy I was able to record it and upload it, and it seems to have gotten a pretty good reaction.
Yeah, well, it's the thing that got me about that game was it was kind of in that weird Lionhead space where there was like Project Milo, and which is a whole other conversation to be had somewhere. And you know, there was just all these things going on, and there wasn't really anything coming out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was because of the transitioning of what they were doing as not only a developer studio, but as how they were being set to work with Microsoft at the time.
Yeah, because this was actually a project by a smaller group called Lionhead the incubation team.
Right. Yeah. And when you look at this game, I mean, like, even though it's, do you remember what year it came out?
I want to say when they released the demo was around 2014.
Okay. It was a pretty game.
Yeah.
Like it was a
great.
Cute, like storybook looking game. And we talked about it a little bit on Twitter. And the thing that still sticks out to me is I can look at that game and to me, it just screams Switch in my head. It's a game that you'd see on the eShop for, you know, $5 to $15, and it would just be one of those things you play through in a day. Yeah. But the art style it's
be a great Game Pass title too.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, you know, unique for the time. I think we've seen some games that have come out that are maybe a little similar to it in the last few years, but at the time, I can't remember seeing anything that looked like it.
And it still looks great. And also to note, it's not a great laptop that I recorded it on.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking at this... I mean, a 7-year-old game on a laptop that was, you know, running something like that.
And wasn't even
dinosaur
a high-dollar...
technology at this point.
It wasn't even a high-dollar laptop at the time.
Right. We aren't, you know, and not trying to start anything. We're not PC gamers. Yeah. So most of our stuff is used for production or work use.
Yeah.
So, no, it was a really neat project, and I encourage you to go look at it, not just because it's something that we put up, but just the fact that it really shows kind of some of the unique artistic ability that the devs at Lionhead really had, and it's kind of a shame that some of these things never got to be elaborated on. They never got to kind of bloom and become full games.
I liked the fact that it was a book and you could go around the different, which there was only 3 areas, but basically I had to use all 3 areas to accomplish one thing.
Right.
And I thought that would have been fun because it kind of gives it a bit of a puzzle element. They described it as it was an audio book, basically, that you could play, but it also had that very pop-up book look, which is just beautiful and would look good in 100 years, in my opinion.
Yep, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like the Nintendo philosophy of when you make a game that looks like a certain style, then that style doesn't really go out of style. It just ages gracefully. You know? So yeah, I'd say check that out. You can find that on our YouTube page, and we'll post links to it on Facebook and Twitter. But definitely, it was a good throw, Patrick. So let's get into it. I almost don't want it to end, but I mean, this is it. This is the end of the Lost Chapters.
There's more games.
There are more games, yes, but as we've talked about, the Lost Chapters, Fable the Lost Chapters has just like a special place in not just my heart, but I know a lot of the people who listen or watch our show. And I'm almost sad that it's over. I mean, we're still going to do a wrap-up episode, so we're not done talking about it, but this is, the end of the game.
It is a bit weird.
Yeah.
For this to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna finish this one and move on to another game.
So this has been a long time coming. We are at our end of the Lost Chapters, as we've said, and where we last left off, I was basically banning Patrick from singing the YMCA during this, so we will not be playing that music, and no, he is not allowed to sing the song because I don't want it stuck in my head. He looks real grumpy right now.
It's stuck in my head.
Yeah, well, you did that to yourself. So we meet with Oracle, and we activate him because we had gotten our glyphs from the Necropolis, and we find out that Jack Blades he's not dead. Shocker. Yeah. I mean, spoilers if you haven't played this game, but come on.
Anniversary's old. The original is really old.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
on you.
I mean, there could be people listening to this that are legitimately in their late teens, that were born the year it came out. Yeah. Blah. But anyways, so Jack of Blades is still alive. He's been using the blood that he took from our family to feed his new form, whatever that might be. And he is locked behind the bronze gate that is near the Archon's shrine in the Northern Wastes. So we are tasked with going to talk to Briar Rose to find out what we need to do to essentially find a way to stop him, to get powerful enough to stop him, but also to open up those gates, because apparently nobody's been able to get back there to find out what's really going on. So part of the reason that the Lost Chapters to me is so integral into all of Fable is this is really where your decisions diverge compared to, even the main game, where it's literally you've got your left and your right paths in the fork in the road that is Fable, based off the decisions that you're going to make, and you make them very quickly. And there isn't a bad decision to make if you want to be entertained. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about the Lost Chapters. Essentially what we find out is we need to use Jack's mask, which we have, I guess, been holding on to since he kicked the bucket, or we thought he kicked the bucket in the Chamber of Fates, to absorb souls of old heroes who we're going to use to power up this ability to open up the gate. So we go and we talk to Briar Rose, and she tells us all of these things. And one of the first things we find out is that we need to go and get a soul of somebody who has been a champion of the arena. Now, so the lore here is a little bit vague, because there's been some people who have been implied to have won in the arena, and some that, have definitely been confirmed. But as far as I know, I believe Jack may be a champion. We definitely had Thunder as a champion. We had Scarlet Robe as a champion. Obviously, our hero is a champion. And I think Nostro was a champion, because at least he established the arena. Yeah. And Briar Rose suggests we go, other than chopping off our own head and using our own soul for this, obviously that's not an option.
It'd be an interesting ending.
Yeah, game over. Fable is completed. I'd kind of like to hear the Guildmaster narrate that ending, I guess. Maybe Briar Rose could have gone on to take on Jack. I don't know, but that wasn't an option. We can't use Jack's soul, obviously, because, whatever he is, he, she, it is somewhere behind the gate. Not an option. Mom's dead. Not an option, at least as far as we know. And Nostro, we've already, he's laid to rest somewhere. So let's go talk to Thunder and find out what's going on. In my gameplay, I played through Under the Good Path, and I go talk to Thunder, who is basically given the brush along from Not Whole Glade, saying we don't need any heroes. And I wanted to point this out actually at kind of a side note here. I think this is really interesting because we do know that in the next game we go on to find out that heroes were definitely kind of shunned after this period.
Yeah.
And the reason that seeing this kind of laid there is interesting because I never really pieced it together, but I could kind of see where maybe it's because of that last battle with Jack and everything that took place all over Albion that people may have blamed all of Heroes for that chaos, and that could be why he's given the move along, the rush away.
That makes sense, because I always thought that guy was just being a jerk.
Right, but...
Because, I mean, Thunder had helped them in the past, and he's just like, get out of here, we don't need you.
Exactly, but that could be the start of the real discontent is, we'd be okay if it wasn't for you guys. We don't want a part of your battle between good and evil. So, I mean, that could be... and I'm sure it's a game. I'm just reading into the lore a bit more than what we're given. But in my mind, I kind of want that to be part of the start of it all. But I thought that was neat. So in my game, I talked Thunder. Thunder's like, hey, go to the arena. Go, scoop up all the souls you want. There's been a lot of people who've died there. You'll be fine. And there's not a lot to get into as far as that goes. Because essentially, it's kind of like my playthrough of the arena part 2. I get different waves of trolls and enemies and Balverines and undead, and in the end, it sucks up, whatever souls happen to be there.
Yeah.
Patrick, your story, I think, is the more interesting or entertaining of the two, if you want to break that down.
Yeah. I mean, first, I like that, obviously, he doesn't like me at this point.
Yes.
And when you talk to him, he tells you the same thing about going to the arena. He gives you a hint, and it's like... Then Jack pops in. He's like, or, you could just take the one that's here right now.
Ooh, and that's actually really good. I'm glad you brought that up because I would have forgotten.
Yeah.
We have Jack talking to us through his mask the entire time this is all going
which I
on.
Love. Yes. I love that so much.
Yeah, he's a jerk. It's fun.
You kind of have like the good angel on your shoulder, and then you have like the demon on your shoulder at the same time.
Well, and part of me feels like this is maybe some of the most personality you get out of Jack, like, because he's really just poking you. He's stirring the pot.
Yeah. He wants you to. He has certain ways he wants you to handle this.
Oh yeah.
But I like after you have that interaction with Thunder, if you continue to talk to him. I thought it was interesting that he mentions that you won't find Whisper's soul at the arena, and then if you engage with him again, he basically mentions that he took her back to the South Islands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe her soul went
to
with
rest there.
Her body if you chose to kill her.
Yeah.
Because obviously it wouldn't be in the arena in my game because I let her live because I'm not a monster.
Hey, I did it for the gameplay, okay?
Okay.
We're both Team Whisper.
Yeah, all right.
So I get the more fun part because I get to fight Thunder.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a pretty entertaining battle. It was a bit similar to the first one, but for those of you that hate Thunder, I mean, you do get to take his soul when you're done.
I mean, I think even if you are in my camp and you like Thunder, there's still got to be a little bit of satisfaction because, I mean, it's not like he was cool with you. Yeah. There was never a moment when he was really just a great guy.
Even if you made all the good choices, he still belittled you.
The only redeeming moment he has is when he watched your back when you were going to one of the focus sites. And he was like, you go on, I've got this, but I can't continue with you. But that was, I mean, maybe more out of duty than anything. But still, I mean, I like Thunder. I like his character. I think that it served its purpose really, really well. But I'm not going to lie, kind of, giving it to him, there's got to be a little bit of satisfaction in there because he was kind of a jerk. I mean, he was a jerk.
And you defeated a hero.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the difference in that first path. We end up going back to the Archon Shrine, and we find out next that we need the soul of a heroine to activate the next part of, whatever power that we need to bring forward. And we're given two options again. Briar Rose is real quick to suggest, hey, you know what? Your mom's soul would be great. She's a great team player. Why don't you go talk to her about it? And, you know, as I think back on this, I really do think that the evil choices seem to be more entertaining.
Yeah, they
because in this case, I go to my mom's gravesite, and she tells me that, you know, she's willing to do this, that we are running out of time, and I end up fighting just a horde of banshees in Oakvale, which is, it's neat, and it's fine. But, I'm sorry?
Screamers.
Oh, Screamers, I'm sorry. I'm jumping games. But... it's pretty straightforward, and then in the end, your mom's soul goes in the mask, and then you use her power. Patrick, how did that go down for you?
Well, first of all, because I just killed Thunder, she looks at your sword, she's like, Thunder soul, huh? I didn't expect that. Well, I just thought that was a nice little
she
part.
Says
that
to the guy who has huge devil horns protruding from his forehead.
Yeah, but, you know, and then she also says, you know, unless you want to kill me when she suggests the mom. But yeah, I mean, once again, I got my part was more fun. I got to fight her. I mean, I like her character.
It's been a long time since I played the evil choice there. Does she, I mean, when you defeat her, is there any kind of like last minute cursing at you for it?
Nope.
Or it's
she's
just
dead.
You're gone, you're done.
When you kill her, she's gone. Yeah, and it was pretty enjoyable. I kind of hope to see more fights like in this game, in the new game, where they feel more individual.
Hero battles, essentially. Yeah.
She would multiply herself, and then you try to figure out which one. And sometimes, even if before you hit them all, she would kind of take that little sneak strike on you when your back was turned.
I didn't remember that at all. Yeah, that is neat.
But she'd be in like a circle, and it'd be multiples of her, and you just attack them, and they would attack you back though. Like they would actually fight.
That's really cool.
Yeah, especially for a game that old. I mean, it was a fun fight, I would say.
All right, so we got Soul number 2. And the great thing about, you know, that for you is you don't really even have to go anywhere. You're already where you need to be. I had to travel my way all the way back to the Snow Spire. But once we've got that done, now I had Briar Rose to say, hey, we need one more Soul of a Warrior, in which case it's suggested that I go and talk to Nostro in the graveyard, because again, he's a team player. He won't mind. He'll take it as a symbol of honor. In which case, now this battle is cool. This is one of the cooler battles, because you
give you a little reward.
Yeah, when you fight him, all of that armor that you collected earlier in the game, and again, this area is just one of the coolest areas in the game. You fight him, all of that armor comes to life, and you know he tells you he's like I'm more than willing to give my soul to this, but you got to earn it from me. It's, you know, it's almost like one of those master teaching the student moments.
I always thought, I still remember my first time doing that though. And it's just funny, or it was funny the way it was, because I'm like, oh, that's sweet, you know, and he's like, you can have it, but you got to kill me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, this is more fun.
Yeah, well, and it's very cool, unique. I mean, it's not overly complicated, but there's a little bit of a puzzle element to it. You have to kill a lot of the undead in order to activate the ability to take him out. Mm-hmm. And it's a fun battle. It's good. It's, you know, not overly difficult, because you're very powerful at this point, as if you're not just completely rushing through the game. And it's just a good moment. It's a good, you know, for those who have followed the lore with us, and for those who want to go back and read on the lore of Nostro, it was a very fitting end for that character. It was maybe the most honorable end that he could have, because I mean,
especially for such a complicated life.
Yeah. He started off as kind of a rough character who did great and wonderful things, who really towards the end of his life became a shell of the greatness that he was, and was kind of given that last moment, almost like, you know, kind of the Viking who finds Valhalla at the end of his death. This was a very cool moment. Patrick, how... I can't even get through it. Patrick, how did this part of the game go for you?
Well, I mean, even with Briar Rose dead, I still had someone giving me a suggestion, and they suggested, hey, I think it would be fun if you went and just killed the Guildmaster.
Who suggested that?
Well, it was the Jack of Blades. He doesn't seem to be a fan of that guildmaster.
Yeah.
And I like this one though, because you go in and the apprentice, and that's where the apprentice, one of them walks up. He's like, "Well, we found out that you can just go and fight Nostro," and it's like, no. And so I start making my way to the guild woods, and before you even get there, there's guards, because like they're like, "We know what you've been doing at this point.
Yeah, you've clearly gone off the rails here."
And so, you fight them and you go in and, the guildmaster basically is like, "I knew Maze was a wuss, but, basically like you're worse than Maze at this point."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's the first time that you get to fight characters that kind of put that shield on, because he shields the guards. It's not a great fight, but it's entertaining enough.
Right.
But I think for everyone, it's a big deal that, the guildmaster, if you ever attack him in the game, he talks a little bit of smack.
Oh yeah, he just brushes you off.
Yeah.
And in the main game.
I mean, he mouths off a bit before your epic battle where you just kick him in the nuts and he dies.
Yes,
and that's it.
They set it up to be the Darth Vader Obi-Wan meeting, where it's you almost expect him to say, "If you strike me down, I will come back more powerful than you can possibly imagine." Nope. Just a good kick to the groin does it. I mean, it's honestly, I love it because it's just the most Fable thing that Fable can do, and at the same time, I begrudge it because I do I love the Guildmaster. I do. And 90% of that's his voice, the voice acting, but
you expected more.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but it's funny.
You want this, Albus Dumbledore versus Voldemort battle that's like just this epic scale, but no, it is literally just a Ric Flair kick to the nuts that ends him.
Yep.
And that's it. And that is Fable in its purest form. That is Fable, and I can't even be mad at it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like, that's it, really?
Right?
Okay. And you laugh about it.
It's like,
no matter how much you loved them, it's hilarious.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and that's, again, that is one of the things that just makes this game so great. It should have been this epic thing, and instead it was a joke.
Yeah.
They just let it go with a joke, and good for them. Whoever came up with that part specifically, that's good on you. So now we have all of our souls. Oh,
sorry. I was going to say, I almost wonder if it was a time constraint thing even.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Easily could have been. Yeah, like, let's just do it this way.
This way anyways.
Let's call it good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Part of me,
well, I guess
I could see that going either way.
Plan. Or that may have been that way from the beginning. They just were like, that's funny. We're doing that.
Yeah. But we've got our souls. We go back to the Archon Shrine, and we obtain the ability to unlock the door, the Bronze Gate, to get to Jack of Blades. And, of course, he's been taunting us this whole time, and he's like, giving us the business. And surprise, surprise, he has tricked us this whole time. And in doing so, we have essentially given him the ability to be free, because that Bronze Gate was keeping him stuck behind it. Yep. Which, in the context of it, makes so much sense, because that's why he was like, yeah, go ahead, get that soul.
Yeah.
He might have been nudging you in the evil direction, but he's like, yeah, you go get that, you do that. You got this, man. Good on you. And you go and you fight him, and there's not a lot to be said about the battle here. It is maybe the most video gamey battle, I think, of Fable, or the original Fable to be specific, because it's the take him down 3 times as a dragon, do the damage. Here's some enemies that spawn at you, that kind of thing. It's similar even, I guess, to the Chamber of Fates battle when you think about it. But his dragon form is cool. I liked it. I think it was a cool thing. Dragons, obviously, at the time, were a little less cliche, but at the same time, it was, maybe viewed a little bit more epically than it would be today, given how many, massive dragons are in games. But the satisfaction comes after you win this battle. The defeat of Jack of Blades is when you're really given the choice of the story element of, are you going to be a tool Well, I guess actually it's not even that. You're basically given the option to, first of all, banish the mask into the lava, hopefully destroying it for all of eternity, and hence destroying any ability for him to come back to our world, if not destroying him completely. Or you can put the mask on and you get all of his power. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
In which, of course, if you're playing through good, it's pretty straightforward. You throw the mask in, you call it a day, and that's the end of it. If you're playing through evil, you put the mask on expecting to have all of this unlimited power. But the joke's on you. Jack takes over your body, and you are unleashed upon the world as the new Jack of Blades. What do you think about that, Patrick?
I mean, I love it. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything to do with it afterwards.
That's the hard part.
They had to, well, basically retcon your decisions in the sequel, because, I mean, how would that work if you put on the mask?
Well, and that's where I think that's where the good ending is technically canon of the of between Fable 1 and Fable 2 is, that didn't happen as far as we know. Now, some of the evil decisions that got made are alluded to. So, I mean, you may have done some evil deeds according to canon, or at least it's alluded to. But as far as your final decision with the game and what you did with that mask, as far as we know, we banished the Jack of Blades.
And Teresa, of course.
Yes, well, yes, obviously. We did not kill Teresa. She's still around. But there is a third option, which, as I was trying to capture video for our video we're posting, he will talk to you, trying to convince you to put the mask on, being the devil's advocate, so to speak. Take this power. You can go on. You can be immortal, blah, blah, blah. And then ultimately you can throw it in the lava. If you wait too long, that mask just face hugs itself to your face, and you don't have a choice in it at all. And you wind up becoming Jack of Blades whether you want to or not. Now, I've always thought that was kind of neat, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, because I do get to play it again. I've got to play through it all again in order to get the good ending footage.
Yeah.
But we'll mix all this in, as you're probably seeing right now. And that's it. I mean, there's a few cleanup quests you can do. I know we didn't cover every quest along the way, but there is a late game quest where you can the son of the Knothole Glade chief is being ransomed, and I really like that quest just because I like Knothole Glade. There's a couple little things you can do, but really overall your game is over at this point. There wasn't any after game to take care of. There was no acknowledgement of now you're Jack of Blades. It was just you've got the mask stuck to your face. So, I mean, obviously we're doing an entire show that's based off of Fable. Now, that doesn't mean that we love every game in Fable. Spoilers, we do, for the most part. But, I mean, if you were to rank Fable The Lost Chapters today, right now, with how you're feeling, Patrick, where does it rank for you between Fable 1, 2, and 3?
2, but close
to
1.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. Which I feel like fully gives away my list, but anyways.
I mean, it's not a long list. I mean, for me, it's number 1. But the thing is, and the reason I want to establish that now, and we'll talk about it in our next episode when we really kind of break down, not analytically, but just kind of talk about the game as a whole, since we've been taking it in chapters.
A buddy discussion.
Right. Yeah. The reason I kind of wanted to get it out there is because I think there's room for maybe it to change as we play through them all. I mean, like, I'm open-minded to my idea of my list changing, because you never know what's going to hit you a little bit more with a heavier nostalgia as you go back through. And I think that'll be kind of neat, because we're not done here, obviously. Like I said, we'll have a wrap-up show next. And, of course, we're going to have bonus shows. This isn't the end of a run for us. This is just kind of the next episode is going to be the end of what we're calling Season 1.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if some idea pops up and we see a reason to return to the Lost Chapters for an episode, we'll do it. Just if the content's there.
Yep, absolutely. So we still encourage you to, have conversations with us. If we're midway into Fable 2 and you suddenly want to talk about something that, occurred to you about the Lost Chapters, or the Anniversary, however you want to title the game, we're totally game to talk about it. But that is going to do it for this week's show. Patrick, are you ready to close the book?
Yep, let's end it. Before we go, we'd like to thank those who helped contribute to the show. ZeroXP logo was provided by Jameson Johns. You can find him at behance.net/Jameson Johns. Theme music was provided by Odd Reference. You can find him at facebook.com/odd.reference. Additional music provided by Rush Shaw.
And remember, you can find us in podcast form across all major podcast platforms. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/ZeroXP Webcast.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Using these features lets YouTube know you like our content and help fellow Fable fans find us.
And before we go, we'd like to give thanks to those who have inspired us to do this show. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Ted. And until next time, our story has ended. Bye bye bye. Bye bye bye. Bye bye.